Hello, Lord Kraken 3 here, and today I've got another entire collection video, one that I promised in my entire plush collection video, no less. The entire figure and Lego collection video. If you haven't seen the entire plush collection video yet, which, like this video, is updated for the start of 2021/end of 2020, then the link to that will be in the description below. Anyways, let's get started with the Legos. I will be covering these ones here and here, because that bottom row right there and all of these sets are actually going into storage, so it'd be kind of pointless to go over them when they're going into storage. Oh, and by the way, if I sound a bit different at all, I am actually using a brand new iPad that I just got. My old one is up there, and it's like 5 years old. I got it in 2015, and its age was really starting to show, so I thought it was time for a replacement, and my parents were like, yeah, we agree, let's get you a new one. But enough talk, let's get on to the Legos. First up, we have the LEGO Star Wars Buildable Figures series Imperial Death Trooper. And behind him is the mini LEGO Creator London Bus. Next to that is the LEGO Hero Factory Dragon Bolt. And next is the LEGO City Prisoner Transport, the old one from the early 2010s. And right above that is the LEGO Star Wars Buildable Figures General Grievous. Next is the LEGO Creator Red Creatures, which I currently have in the Dragon build. Next up is the LEGO Legends of Chima Sporadus' Spider Crawler, and next to that is the LEGO Marvel Spider-Man Far From Home Molten Man Battle. Moving up a shelf, we have the LEGO Galaxy Squad Star Slicer, the LEGO Ninjago Spinjitzu Dojo, the LEGO Movie Trash Chomper, Legends of Chima Scorm Scorpion Striker, Marvel Spider-Man Doc Ock's Tentacle Trap, LEGO Batman Movie Clayface Splat Attack, the LEGO Ninjago Movie Green Ninja Mech Dragon, LEGO Star Wars Mos Eisley Cantina, also from LEGO Star Wars, the Imperial Landing Craft, LEGO Marvel Spider-Man Venomsaurus Ambush, LEGO Ninjago Attack of the Moro Dragon, the one and only Moro Dragon, LEGO Legends of Chima Lavardis' Outland Base, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2014 movie Big Rig Snow Getaway, LEGO City Prison Island, LEGO Ninjago Lighthouse Siege. The light up there still works even after 4 years. And the LEGO Star Wars Rogue One Krennic's Imperial Shuttle. Moving over to this shelf, we have the LEGO Star Wars The Twilight. Also from Star Wars is the Clone Turbo Tank. This is the 2016 release. Next, the LEGO Ninjago Epic Dragon Battle. Next up, the LEGO Marvel Spider-Man Web Warriors Highway Battle. Or is it Highway Bridge Battle? I'll put the correct name on screen. Next up, a new addition to the collection actually, the LEGO Hidden Side Newbury Haunted High School. And next, the LEGO Arkham Asylum from the LEGO Batman movie. Next, we have the LEGO Simpsons house. For a time, this was actually my largest set until, well, I'll get to that after this. Anyway, next up, my LEGO Creator Expert Parisian Restaurant. Stuff back there, along with my Dragon Ball Z trading cards, which I got from the Bardock and Fusion Reborn double feature back in 2018. And of course, I don't know if you can see it, but there are interior spaces in there. I mean, they'd have to be. It's a building. Why would it be hollow? But anyway, finally, for the Legos, for the sets anyway, we have the gargantuan Ninjago City. Seriously, this thing towers over the rest of my collection, and I love it. An amazing set piece if I'm doing photo shoots or videos. So, anyway, I think that should just about cover— Hey, wait a minute! We forgot the Mixels. Alright, so kicking off the Mixel section, we have Flame. And here we have the parts for Vulcan Zorch. Yeah, these guys were originally the Infernite Max until I took them apart in order to film the Season 2 intro of Robot Flame by using, well, Flame. But everyone else is in their Max forms. With that out of the way, next up we have the Cragsters Max. Here is the Electroids Max. But, you know, I feel like this might take a while if we just keep going through them slowly like this. So instead, how about a lightning round? 2014 Frosticons Max, Fangang Max, Flexors Max, Lorpcorp Max, Spikles Max, Wiztastics Max, Orbitons Max, 2015 Infernites Max, Glowkeys Max, Clinkers Max, 2015 Frosticons Max, Lixors Max, Weldos Max, 2015 Glorpcorp Max, Munchos Max, MCPD Max, Medievals Max, Nixies Max, Series 8 Mega Max, Trashos Max, Mighty Ninjas Max, Newsers Max, and finally, it's ya boys, the Nixels!
New record!
And so, with the Mixels out of the way, that does it for the Legos. The ones not going into storage soon, anyway. And now it's time to move on to the real meat and potatoes of this video, the figures. Starting off with the vinyl figurines, first up is the 12-inch Godzilla 2004 from Bandai of America. Also from Bandai of America, we have the 12-inch Kiryu. And finally, the last of my trio of 12-inch vinyls from Bandai of America, Gigan, the 2004 edition from Final Wars. Next up, from an unknown producer, we have this Gorosaurus Christmas tree ornament. If you watch Monster Island Buddies, he's the guy that sounds like this and goes, "Look what happened." Someday I wish that I can get a 6-inch vinyl of him, because they are out there, but they cost quite a bit. But with that out of the way, it's time for the 6-inch vinyls, and there are a lot to cover. But first, we have the Bandai of America Godzilla 1954. The guy that started it all. Also from Bandai of America, we have Burning Godzilla, or the incarnation that appeared in Godzilla vs. Destroya. Bandai of America Godzilla 1999. And rounding out the quartet, we have the Bandai of America Godzilla 2004. Moving on to Godzilla's co-stars, we have the Bandai of America 2004 Anguirus. One of his horns is unfortunately broken off, as you can see there. Consider it battle damage. Hold the phone, this one is Bandai, but not Bandai of America. This is actually the Japanese release, Bandai Movie Monster Series King Ghidorah 1991. One of my favorite Ghidorah designs. Also from the Bandai Movie Monster Series line, we have Final Wars Manila. If you you watch Monster Island Buddies, he talks like this! Yeah! We finally return to Bandai of America with Hedorah, the Showa version. Also from Bandai of America, we have the Showa Gigan. Also from Bandai of America, we have the Showa Mechagodzilla. And I know that you're thinking that he looks kind of funny, but this is actually an official release, the Fusion Series Mechagodzilla. It's a subset that Bandai of America did for their Godzilla line. And apparently this release is considered rare. Here's another Mechagodzilla, this time from Bandai's Tokyo Vinyl line. Up next, the Bandai of America King Caesar. This is apparently supposed to be a fusion between the Showa and Millennium designs. Returning to Japan, here is the Bandai Movie Monster Series Biollante. This one was actually recently released in 2018. Next up, we've got the Bandai of America Space Godzilla. His tail is very long. And next up, the Bandai of America Destroyer. But now, with their final figure, we must bid farewell to Bandai of America. Well, final figure in my collection, anyway. Rainbow Mothra Leo. And the final vinyl figure for my Godzilla collection, the male Muto from Bandai's Movie Monster series. As for my Gamera figures, well, spoilers, but there are only two. And the first of those two is the Movie Monster series Gamera 1999 from Bandai's Movie Monster series. But it just wouldn't be Heisei Gamera without a Gyaos to fight. This is the Bandai Hyper Gyaos, also from Gamera 3 Revenge of Osiris. And oh boy! Both Godzilla and Gamera have been covered, and I'm not even a third of the way through the vinyl segment yet, because it's Ultraman as far as the eye can see from here on out. First up, from the classic Ultra Hero series, we have Ultraman 80. Also from the classic Ultra Hero series, here is Ultraman Great. Next up is Ultraman Zero from... well, actually, I don't know what line this guy is from. He's definitely too small to be an Ultra Hero series release, and he can't even stand up on his own. Anyway, next up is Ultraman Cosmos Eclipse, who is as mini as Zerf, but is actually a bit taller. And he can stand on his own, so that's a plus. But now it's time to call all the monsters from Bandai's Ultra Monster series. So, first up from that line, we have Gomez. The very first Ultra Monster. Next up, the first kaiju from Ultraman, Bemular. Next is a small little alien Baltan. Coloring's a bit off, so it can't be the same line as Ultraman Zerf and Cosmos Eclipse, the other tiny figures I've got. But if you also watch Panty and Stocking Plush, you know this guy is Alien Baltan Teeny Weeny, and he has a tendency to get run over by cars. But going back to Bandai's Ultra Monster series, next up is Antlar. Here is Jamila, Geronimon, and now moving on to monsters that originated in Ultra 7, we have Wyndham. Next up is actually a new addition to the collection for 2020, Eleking. This was my first purchase on Buyee. I signed up using Monster Island Buddy's link they provided to get the free coupon and used it on this. Here is Alien Beta. And rounding out the Ultra 7 monster troupe, we have Dinosaur Tank. Now on to the monsters that originated from Return of Ultraman, starting with Takong. Here is Gudon, Femstar, and finally we have Black King. Well, finally for the return of Ultraman monsters, anyway. At least until we get to the Figuarts. From Ultraman Ace, here is Velocrone, the Missile Terrible Beast, or Choju if you prefer. Next up is Voxium. Next is Aribunta, who has been appearing a lot in the newer series. And finally, for Ultraman Ace, we have Alien Hipporedo. We got 2 Ultraman Taro representatives incoming, and first up is Alien Temperer. And second, Tyrant. This is based on his Ultra Galaxy Neverending Odyssey redesign, and this figure is actually pretty rare from what I know. And it's also one of my oldest figures, and one of my first Ultraman figures, if not my first, which you can tell by the paint chipping on his horn. He's seen a lot of action, but the rest of my collection of Ultra figures, well, Ultraman figures and Ultra Monster figures, wouldn't be where it is today without him. From Ultraman Leo, here's Alien Babaru, and from Ultraman 80, here is Giko Gylar. Next up, we actually have a figure that's not from Bandai's Ultra Monster series for a change. We have the DreamWorks Majaba from Ultraman Great, or Towards the Future if you live in English-speaking territories. Yeah, didn't know that, did you? DreamWorks, but not that one, I'm assuming, produced a figure line for Ultraman Towards the Future, and it included vinyl figures of Ultraman Great as well as some monsters like Majaba. But now we return to Bandai with Ultraman Powered's Powered Chandler. Also from Ultraman Powered, here is Powered Pigmon. And now for the monsters where the Heisei series starts. Starting off, we have Golza from Ultraman Tiga. Also from Ultraman Tiga, here's Melba. Also from Ultraman Tiga, here is Gakuma Beta. Moving on to Ultraman Dyna, here is Neosaurus and Raycubus. From Ultraman Zerf 2, here is Darklar. Really awesome design, I friggin' love it. And now, on to Ultraman Gaia with Super Cove, or COV. But they pronounce the COV part Kovu in Japan. Also from Ultraman Gaia, here is Kaiser Dobishi. The final opponent from Ultraman Gaia here is Second Form Zogu, who is actually pretty small when compared to the rest of my collection, but still in relative 6-inch scale with the rest of the Ultra Monster series, which is more than I can say for the Ultra Monster 500, and I don't collect those for a myriad of reasons.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Anyway, from the Ultraman Gaia movie, here is Bajiris. And now, moving on to Cosmos, here is Lidorios. Also from Ultraman Cosmos, here is Chaos Golmade. Tragically, the front of his nose is broken off. Must have fallen off during filming, and I never recovered it. Next is Chaos Header Iblis. And what's basically his evolved form, the final boss of Ultraman Cosmos, Chaos Darkness. From Ultraman Nexus, here is Nosferu. And here is the Ultraman Max incarnation of Pigmon. I don't know what's happened to this incarnation in recent shows. They went back to the old Showa design with Ultraman Rube. Kinda like this design a little bit more. Next up, we have the very, very long Natsuno Meryu. Seriously, this thing must be the longest soft vinyl in my collection. Moving on to the Ultraman Mebius monsters, here is Zamshur. From Ultraman Mebius Gaiden Armor Darkness, here's, well, Armor Darkness. EX Zeton from Ultraman Mebius Gaiden Ghost Rebirth. And lastly, for Bandai's Ultra Monster series, we have King Silvergon from one of the Ultraman Mebius movies. I can't recall which one it is right now, but it's time for the Ultra Monster Deluxe series of figures from Bandai to take the stage, or at least the ones that I've got. Anyway, starting off, we have Gargolgon, or Gargorgon, whichever way it's spelled. From Ultraman X, here is Tsurugi Demaga. From the Ultraman X movie, here comes our Ultraman. Here is Zygorg. And now for the ones from Ultraman Orb, and there are quite a lot. So first up, Magabosser, the King Demon Beast, or no, excuse me, Lord Monster of Wind. King Demon Beast sounds so much cooler, come on. Next up is the one of Earth, Maga Grand King. The King Demon Beast / Lord Monster of Water, Maga Japa. And the King Demon Beast / Lord Monster of Fire, Maga Pandan. If only we had Magatano Thor and Maga Zeton. Problem is, they never made a Magatano Thor figure, and Maga Zeton was an Ultra Heroes Expo exclusive, so yeah, no chance that I'd ever get that. Next up is the Supreme King Demon Beast, or Great Lord Monster, Maga Orochi. Next up, we have my tallest Ultra Monster vinyl, that being Galactron. Yeah, for some reason, this figure was made in a 10-inch scale instead of the normal 7-inch scale that the Ultra Monster Deluxe series is usually put in. Next is Juggler's personal favorite kaiju, Zepandon! Next up, the final boss of Ultraman Orb and the evolved form of Maga Orochi, Magatano Orochi. From Ultra Fight Orb, here is Rabatos. We're in the home stretch now. Next up from Ultraman Geed, Skull Gamora. Also from Ultraman Geed, here is Thunder Killer. Pedanium Zeton. Here is Zegan. And finally, to end the soft vinyl section off, we have Chimera Barris. So that just about covers my entire collection of Ultraman, Gamera, and Godzilla soft vinyl figurines. Now we move on to we have to take a slight detour to something more than meets the eye. My Transformers. First off, we have the Transformers Age of Extinction series Dinobot Slag from Hasbro. Or Slug if you prefer. His name had to be changed because apparently it's a bad word in the Christian Minecraft server that is the UK. Next up, we have the vintage reissue of Astro Train, who I currently have in his shuttle mode. Here is the vintage reissue Optimus Prime, who I have in his robot mode, complete with his dual-wielded guns and all. Also from the vintage reissue of Transformers series that Hasbro has recently been doing, we have Blaster, who is pretty big compared to the The Transformers Generations Earthrise War for Cybertron Commander Skylynx. I friggin' love Skylynx. He has such an awesome design. His shuttle half can turn into a bird. His tank half can turn into sort of a Sphinx-like monster. And they can combine to form what you see in front of you right now. But before we get into our final section, let's take a brief detour to cover the transformation item toys that I have, since I've covered them in previous collection videos. First up, we have the Ultra Fusion card holder, which can hold a lot of cards. I can't really show it with one hand, or can I? Oh, I can. Well, I can put all the cards that came with the Ultraman X and Ultraman Orb Deluxe figurines, as well as a transformation item I'll get to in a bit. And when you're done with it, it closes up just like so. Makes sense considering it goes on your hip. Next up is the Orb Ring, the transformation item of Ultraman Orb's human host, Guy Kurenai. Here is the Orb Caliber, the weapon of Ultraman Orb Origin. Here we have the Riser from Ultraman Geed, outfitted with the Neo Zero Eye, or Zero Eye Neo. Just a convenient bit of toy storage, I guess. And there's the loading knuckle. And to round this detour out, we have the King's Sword. And now after all that, it's time to wrap it up with the Figuarts! And Monster Arts, and Robot Spirits, and Mecha, and Figmas, but, you know. So to start this off, we have the SH Monster Arts GMK Godzilla. Next up, we have the Godzilla from 2017's Planet of the Monsters, or Monster Planet, or whatever you want to call it. This one was actually never released in the US. I had to pick it up from a site called AmiAmi. Next up, we have the Godzilla 2019 SH Monster Arts figure, based off his appearance in Godzilla King of the Monsters. Also from SH Monster Arts, here is the Mothra larva. Her entire body can bend around like so. Also from SH Monster Arts, and actually from the same release as the Mothra larva, here is the Batra larva. The Batra larva and Mothra larva figures were, in fact, my first SH Monster Arts figures. A new manufacturer enters the ring. From NECA, here is Rodan from 2019's King of the Monsters. And finally, for the Monster Arts, we have Mecha King Ghidorah, the most expensive SH Figuarts or Monster Arts or Figma release that I own. In this case, Monster Arts. Mecha King Ghidorah also came with 3 Dorats, in case you're a fan of those guys. From Tamashii Nation's Robot Spirits line, here is Saber Athena from Pacific Rim Uprising. This was the very last figure I picked up from Toys R Us before it shut down in my area. From the Kingdom Hearts series manufactured by Diamond Select, here is an Assassin. And before we get to all of my SH Figuarts, we have 2 Figma to cover. First one, Gridman from SSSS Gridman. And of course, what's Gridman without Grid Knight, also from SSSS Gridman? Here they come. From here on out, it's nothing but Figuarts. So first up, we have Kamen Rider Gaim from Kamen Rider Gaim. Next are 4 of the SH Figuarts Street Fighter girls that Tamashii Nations has manufactured. So first is Cammy. Next is Sakura Kasugano. Really love the Hadoken effect piece she came with. Next is Rainbow Mika. And finally, we have Chun-Li. Now let's move on to the Dragon Ball Figuarts releases. So here is Perfect Cell. Next up, we've got, took you long enough to get to me. The Emperor of the Universe, Final Form Frieza. Apparently they're coming out with First Form Frieza soon, so that's something I gotta pick up. Next up is the so-called Hero of Earth, Mr. Satan, or Hercule if you're American. Up next, we've got the incarnation of Broly from Dragon Ball Super. And then I bought him again, in his full power form. He is really, really big. Like, here he is right next to Mecha King Ghidorah, and he is up to their heads. Next we've got Captain Ginyu of the Ginyu Force. And look here, he's almost as big as regular Broly. And going from one of my bigger figures to one of my smaller figures, next up is Kid Chi-Chi from the original Dragon Ball. Next up is Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan Vegito, or as the anime puts it, Vegito Blue! Yeah, Vegito's the ambiguously British fusion. Also a premium Bandai release here in the States, we have Zamasu. And finally, one of the last figures I got in 2020 for Christmas, we have Merged Zamasu. He comes with a bunch of effect parts, including one so that you can turn him into his half-corrupted form. But I think I like him as is. At last, we've come to our final segment of the final part of this video, the Ultraman Figuarts. So to start off, here's the original Ultraman. This was the 50th anniversary commemorative release, which came with a bunch of other special effects, as well as that diorama and the Baltan UFO you see Saber Athena surrounded by. Next up, Zophie. Next up, Ultraman Jack. Unfortunately, I don't have 7 or 8, so I'm still trying to track those two down. That aside, next we have Ultraman Taro, who actually recently got a complete series Blu-ray release here in the States from Mill Creek. And fittingly enough, next up is Ultraman Ginga. Next is Ultraman Victory. Next is Ultraman X. Next, Ultraman Orb Origin. This is actually one I've been trying to track down for a while, and I finally got him last year. But not as much as Ultraman Geed Primitive. I've been trying to get this guy for so long, and last Christmas, my aunt finally got me him. Next up from Ultraman Rube, we have Ultraman Rosso. And of course, there's also his brother, Ultraman Blue. Still waiting for Grigio to come out. And up next, of course, it is in fact your boy, Ultraman Zero. With that being said, every good batch of heroes needs villains to face, and the Ultramen are no different. So to start off this portion of Ultra Kaiju and Aliens, or otherwise Ultra Villains, we have Alien Baltan. Next up is Alien Zerub, who was a Bandai Premium Webshop exclusive, but not in the US, which meant I had to order him from third-party retailers like Toku Lectables or Big Bad Toy Store. Next up, we have Gamora, the first Ultra monster to defeat an Ultraman officially, even though it was less of a defeat and more of him battering Ultraman with his tail until the fight came to a standstill, then fleeing. And next up, here's the final boss of the original Ultraman, Zeton. If you watched the series, you'll know that he's kind of like a Pokemon in that he constantly says his name. Moving on to those from Ultra 7, here is Alien Metron. Next up, we have King Joe, the first kaiju in Ultra 7 to make, well, Ultra 7 taste defeat. Next up, we have Alien Guts, who, much like King Joe, got a 2-parter episode and defeated Ultra 7 in their first round. Next up, another Bandai Premium Webshop exclusive that never came to the States and thus I had to get through third-party retailers, Pandin. He cost me quite a bit, but that is justified since he also came with extra parts so you can turn him into reconstructed Pandin, who appears in the finale of Ultra 7. Next up, from Return of Ultraman, to go with my vinyl Gudon, we have Twintail. Next up, we have a big bad introduced alongside Ultraman Zero in 2009, Ultraman Belial. And last but certainly not least, we have Ultraman Tregear. Yet another Bandai Premium Web Shop exclusive, but fortunately I was able to get him. Alright, so here is my entire collection of figures and Legos. Not counting the ones that are going into storage. Anyway, I think that should just about cover everything. If there are any questions, I'll be putting them in the description down below. This has been Lord Kraken 3, and I'll see you all next video. Until then, take care.